beloved brothers and sisters. Bringers of change, 144. Beings of light, humans of the earth. I am Geeia Ariati. I am of sound heart and sound mind. And I am being guided directly. I'm already fully in the energetic transmission. So when you are jumping on, if you have not received one of my transmissions before, please take 3 deep breaths and be aware of your surroundings as you may receive DNA upgrades, Kundalini activations, frequencies moving through your vessel and your body in a way that it can cause altered states of consciousness and visions of remembrance. So please allow yourself the time to receive this in wholehearted safety for yourself and others. Okay. So this transmission specifically is around the royal bloodlines. I feel extremely uncomfortable from my human lens in relation to this because I have only just recently uncloaked myself from the quantum field in totality, and so up until the last day it has been unsafe for me to be fully seen in this reality as I am and hold original royal bloodline in this incarnation and through previous incarnations. And I want to speak into this and the awareness around this so that there is not trickery to false power and to false constructs of empires and different spiritual teachings or navigational processes that are within many layers of consciousness. So I'm aware that my brain is really active, and so communicating from the lens of my monadic self or the true essence of that which I be is a little challenging because the council want to overtake my communications, and yet it is important for me to speak to what is present in the current reality from a more human lens interpretation. And basically what is at play is that the original bloodlines are being purified, and in that purification process they are able now in the protection of God's law and the laws of this universe and the shifting of the laws of this universe to ensure that trickery, manipulation, and the sovereignty of human beings can be enforced in divine justice is at play. And many of the individuals that have mutated these laws have met their own, we'll say, demise through their own consciousness creations. So what's taking place is that through the galactic trials and the different trials that have been underway, there is less ability to manipulate consciousness and to manipulate sovereignty of individual beings. Now, what these beings that have been the manipulators have false powers. They have false light, energy, or power constructs that are drained off the original bloodlines or from powerful evolved consciousness through the entrapment programs that have riddled the human consciousness and the earth since the beginning. And as there's a rise and there's been this shift in the chakra systems of the earth, there is a capacity now that those pure bloodlines and those different individuals moving through their own purification process and their acknowledgements of their own wrongdoings and their the distortions that have played out within their experience, that through their karmic cleanup and through the purification of their consciousness and the declaration to be of service to God and only God, there has been many like myself that are starting to allow themselves to be seen And so the seeing is not just here, right? I've been on social media for many years now. I have, I guess, some level of public figure. And I have been showing up to be seen and to share, but I have been cloaked, so I haven't been seen. There's been intentional shielding in my energy field to make sure that I am not seen by those that could harm me, because I had not come into the purification of the truth of who I am, and so solid in God's protection. And so what happens is that as the purification process is completed for each of these original bloodlines, and the knowing that these bloodlines ripple down into the human collective, into the human vessel, and that every vessel on the planet has some level of the original DNA structures, that they are descendants of these original bloodlines. So in actuality, in truth, we are all royalty, and we are all holding some level of royal blood within our energy fields, because each and every one of the 12 original families was of royal king and queen energy, which was what created the original seeding of the human race. Now, that does not mean that we can all claim royalty. That does not mean that we can all claim to be kings and queens. That does not mean that we can claim to be of this stature. And that's based on the truth of hierarchy and evolvement of consciousness. It takes a highly evolved being to come into a place of being assigned the responsibility of being a king or a queen. And that means that many of the 144 don't actually hold kings and queens templates or archetypal energies, and that they hold other more important ones for their evolution of where they're at this point in time. But the kings and queens that are and have been this energy since the beginning of time, and they're only coming into the purification of that to stand in the highest order of service, is taking place. And so this rise of the feminine is exposing some of those individuals, and they're also exposing the individuals that are not holding this frequency, that have cloned, copied, mutated and manipulated consciousness by feeding off beings that do hold these codes. So this, to explain the false power, it's very hard depending your level of consciousness and ability, but I will do my best to express it in a human, tangible way, is that we talk about energy vampires, right? Everyone's experienced an energy vampire. Everyone's experienced somebody that when you're talking, you're communicating, they're like, I want to have all the conversation, and they'll cut you off, and you know, they'll be feeding off you as you're there and you're giving them all of your love or your support, and they're literally draining your life force energy from you, and they're feeding off you, right? So you leave depleted, and they leave on top of the fucking world. Now, that's because they've actually taken your chi, but you also gave it up. So that's the most simplistic version that I can give. But if you imagine that out as expanded through time and space, you have beings that are false representations of royalty or royal bloodlines or original demiurge or whatever language you want to put into it. It is important to be aware of this, because our structures of our entire reality, our governmental structures, are based on false bloodlines. These are not true royalty, and these energies are stolen the rights of serving humanity and leading humanity, and they are a false representation, which is why you hear around the royalty that conduct themselves with the Illuminati and different feeding practices. And I'm not going to go into any of that because you can find enough conspiracy theory truth in any research that you do. But the feeding of these rituals, right, that's the human feeding. You have blood sacrifice rituals, which is the feeding of chi. It's the feeding of power. I can never remember the word because it triggers me a little. Adrenochrome. The energy of adrenochrome is grabbing at this spirit essence, the holy grail of a pure light being. And these beings that get pulled into these circles of Illuminati, they're not just any children, they're not just any woman. They are beings of light that hold royal bloodline. These beings that are taken for these spaces and places, and you'll see a lot of celebrities getting mixed up in it because you have royal beings that are amazing creators. They've got amazing voices. They are exemplary human beings. Someone please put that in the chat box. Making sure that when you do jump on that you are commenting, asking questions and engaging so that these messages can be received by those that are wanting truth, that are desiring the activations. It's not just the words that I'm speaking that is coming through in this transmission. So please engage if it's true to your heart space to share this message and share these transmissions with others. But these individuals that are getting caught up in these Illuminati rings, they are beings that hold specific chi. They hold levels of gold frequency in their being. So they are being traumatized as a way to feed off power. And that is where that is where, when you have the awareness that we're mining gold and these different mining resources, that they come from each and every individual consciousness at the same time. And so it is not safe for someone like myself to expose who I am until I'm fully protected by God, Source, Creator. Because beings like me get hunted. They get hunted to be fed off and to be used. And this is used for the agenda. And I have been used. And I've been used even with the multiple layers of protection and cloaking and hiding. And I can't even share how much mutation has taken place to my being, to my body, to my consciousness, to ensure that no one knows who I am. So that I'm not recognized. Because it was too dangerous. Because if I was seen and exposed, and I've experienced a lot of psychic attack, a lot of demonic energies, a lot of disruption in my mission and my purpose, and so much of that, imagine I would be dead. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be in my mission if I hadn't have hidden myself so well. And so what happens is not all people or beings that come in service have as strong protection fields. They don't have as much awareness coming into this experience. If you're new to Earth, you don't understand the levels of control structures and what takes place. This place is extremely traumatizing to someone that's never been here. As soon as you land in your physical body, the conflict between your higher self and the light frequency that you hold, it is the most painful experience you can imagine to be in matter when you are a highly evolved frequency essence. And it creates trauma, and it's one of the first fragmentations that takes place. And so that is a weakness in itself that then makes you vulnerable to the prey of those that are aware of you, right? Because you are tracked. We are tracked. Every being can be tracked. I can track anyone in the quantum field. I can find anyone from their spirit essence. And if I can't find them, I'm like, why? Where are they? Right? So I have this capacity and ability to work in the quantum field in ways that most individuals have absolutely no idea about, which makes me an asset to any agenda, and that if I was in a state of trauma, that they can use these abilities, they can use my channel, they can use what is here for their continual entrapment programs. Now, the reason the bloodlines are important, and I will be going into direct channel around this so that you can receive it direct from the Council of One, because I'm sure their interpretation is different to mine. But the reason that this is important is for those that are here on mission, that are here to recognize who they are. I've been working with a beautiful beloved sister that is going through this very recognition at the moment, as a individual that holds a capacity much to the level that I hold, and that's a very high capacity with frequency and energy and ability to move, is being initiated so deeply in every moment. We don't get off time. We're on all the time, every moment, every day, and every second. There is some form of transmutation, there is some form of awareness, there is some message. There is no humaning in my reality anymore. My human is at work in the realms of energy, frequency, and vibration in every moment. And so what happens is, for the human being, that's really frustrating when you get to that point, because you don't get to just go to sleep. You don't get to just sit in meditation. You don't just get to go and get a massage. You are in consciousness that's unfolding in every moment. And that is what is expected of a highly evolved being. And as you're purifying and exposing yourself, that disciplinary action, that the requirements increase as well. And so you're required to be of service more, because you have the capacity to. You know, a big part of a lot of it for me was, why me? Why me? Like, why is this happening to me? Oh, my body still feels that. If you haven't seen that post recently around, I did a post around Delilah about a year ago, and if you haven't seen it, it's a very insightful piece that your body or your vessel, your avatar, is its own consciousness living organism, and we don't often commune and connect with our vessel. My vessel is one of the most advanced pieces of machinery in this galaxy, and she is being absolutely brutalized. And and so I've purified my consciousness so I can be pure in the essence of who I am, and I'm protected by God, and yet my vessel is moving through some purification of her own, because I haven't had the time and the capacity to look at what she needed, because I was so devoted to what Source needed. And so her devotion to Source at the same time meant a lot of self-sacrifice, and so much self-sacrifice that to the point of being of service at this level is extremely challenging. It is extremely challenging, because you don't get to have the same stories. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to be of service, but it also fucking sucks. And that's the polarity around it. But yes, as you are remembering your bloodline, if you're from a pure, true bloodline and you have a king and queen template within your field, if you have some of these highly evolved consciousnesses that are here, at whatever level, if you're listening to if you're even sitting here listening to this, there's a level of highly evolved frequency that you hold. And seeing yourself is absolutely important. Not to compare yourself to someone else, but to see who you are, what templates you hold, what codes you hold. Who are you? Why did you come here? What is it that you're carrying, so that you can stand in the conviction and the truth of who you are and purify to be able to embody and fully be that in your human experience. And these specific bloodlines of, so there is 12 men and there is 24 women. that have extremely high pure bloodline of the original human race, which is not your royalty that you see out in the world today. Your royalty has fed off beings like myself. And I'm not going to claim that I'm a queen, that I should have an empire or anything like that, because that's not how I see it at all. I'm here for the people. I'm here to serve God. And the recognition that these false paradigms of rulership and the false paradigms of using humanity for the service it's not service to self and it's not service to other, it's service to union, it's service to both simultaneously all the time at once. That is what truth is. That's what being in devotion to God's source creator is. I am not me, I am you, and we are one, and I will serve you and I will serve myself simultaneously in every moment. And when I'm doing this, then I'm of the highest caliber human being that I can be in this reality. And so as you're recognizing or seeing, you might see that there are these specific individuals that hold these high-level expressions of consciousness that are here to assist the awakening of the planet and to deconstruct the current paradigms of control, which are your false royalties that are feeding off these beings. So if you are aware, if you are one of these beings, and whether or not you're of one of the 12 or the 12 men or 24 women, these are the specifics that are guiding us, that we are walking the path and leading, and that there is a ripple effect, and that the more that they remember, you remember. The more that you remember, they remember. It's together, always, at once. And so if you are able to recognize that as you support individuals like myself, that your remembering happens, and as your remembering happens, I get to receive also, and we get to bring through a more purified expression of what the human race was supposed to be, then we are able to acknowledge each other in what we truly are and release these false paradigms. Because as you witness yourself, I witness myself, and these false bloodlines and these matriarchal and patriarchal constructs that are built on the feeding of divinity can fall, because without this chi, without this light source, they are powerless. They are not true royalty. They have not got a connection to source. They need to start from either returning to source and starting from base level consciousness, because you can't skip steps. You can't skip steps. And that's why hierarchy, I love how much, it was a big one for me, that hierarchy is considered so challenging to the human mind, because we're like, we're all equal. We are, but we also are not. That is universal law, is that there is a hierarchy to rulering. There is a hierarchy to being in a position of having a voice that really truly matters, because you've seen, experienced, met, witnessed, and been in that place, and everyone's voice matters. But when we look at political pieces and we look at the current world that we are guided by, we're guided by teenagers that have zero ability to be in consciousness of truth and to care for anything other than their own agendas. And that cannot fall until we reclaim who we are, until we reclaim the authentic expression of that which each of us are. And so my human has had enough sharing. So I'm now going to go into direct channel and see what the Council of One has to say. So to support this transmission, please drop in deeply with me so that you can receive the frequency between the words, so that you can receive from an open heart in the discernment that I choose through conscious free will, through sovereign choice, to only speak the word of God from the highest levels of frequency transcribed into the words so that the human mind can perceive and receive. And that all beings that choose to receive frequencies through that which I speak or through the energy field of that which I illuminate are choosing from their own free will and choice, through an open heart and through the discernment of what is aligned for them and what is to be rejected, knowing that they may not be able to receive specific frequencies based on their current evolution, and that not all things will resonate to you at this point in time, that it takes time to receive different levels of frequency, and that my choice and the truth of that which I'm aligned to express from is that you receive with as much ease and grace to your highest timeline. Taking 3 deep breaths now, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. It is apparent in your collective conditioning currently that you are moving through many of the awarenesses of where the manipulation of light has created a false expression of self and a false expression of your reality. Your current experience is showing you that there are beings, self-created consciousness, or illusions of that which is a mirage of truth, creating the illusion of that which you thought to be solid within your current experience. That there is a falling and a shattering of the mirror, the glass that has kept you in some place of safety to see yourself through the sparkle and through the expression of what is considered a light technology that creates the feeling of a luminosity that is hiding the shadow beneath. That the shattering of this glass is exposing the cuts, wounds, and the distortions within each and every one of you. And that as you are witnessing this, you are seeing the true essence of the wounds and the blood that you bleed by seeing and remembering your origins. The origins that when you take away the false interpretation of what is being shown to you in your current reality, no matter what dimensional plane of expression you are experiencing from, that you are seeing where you have falsely identified with something, or where you have falsely deluded yourself of who you are. And as you are witnessing this, you are seeing the importance of your expression, of your physicality, and of the bloodline that you hold. That your ancestral memory is being purified rapidly with the earth as the earth shifts and transmutes into a new form of creation. This shift in the earth's structure is purging the trauma and the density of thousands of years of trauma that is stored within the earth grids. As you start to understand that the earth grids is a representation of your circuitry system and the meridian lines of your vessel, you are aware that the transmutation of what has been in the earth grids simultaneously must occur in the physical body, the vessel of that which you are housing your consciousness, the vessel that has its own energetic frequency that is aligned to that which of the earth's matter. The earth being that of now embodying and holding the chakra system of the rainbow plasma light chakra system, requires to be met in the organic matter of the physical body. This transition means that the waterways that you would consider the earth's blood and the different elements of liquid that are held within your great sister Tara, Mother Geia, are moving through the purification of the blood within the physical anatomy of your body. To purify our great sister Tara, Mother Geia, of the trauma and the distortions of that of history, there is a requirement to remember your ancestral lineage, to know who you are and who you are holding trauma from. As it is brought up in the transmutation and the activation of large amounts of water that will be moving through the inner earth and flooding specific land masses. This is to clear mass amounts of ancestral trauma from the lands and recreate the blood of our great sister Tara, Mother Geia. How this represents is that your bloodlines will be cleared simultaneously, and so what is taking place collectively is a clearing of the bloodline and the origin of who you truly be. Many of you have had mutated bloodlines in the manipulation of your genetics and the crossbreeding that occurred to enforce and entrap the purity of the light being that you are. This crossbreeding is the toxicity that you see in the waterways, in the malt and lava, and the connection of the center of the earth requires to remove the toxic chemicals and the poisons that have occurred through the distortions of trauma and the chemical imbalance, to align a new frequency through her landmass. What will come up for you is the recognition of areas where you have in your ancestral memory connection to satanic bloodlines, demonic expressions of consciousness that have merged into your blood, dark matter consciousness, AI technologies that are holding inversion templates that are requiring to be released, and many mutations in the liquids of your physical vessel. As you work with your physical vessel's liquids, you can clear the parasitic energies and the holograms of false constructs that allow for our earth to simultaneously do the same. Why is this important now? Because as the earth transitions and the poles flip into a new position, the shifting of the earth structure will become more aligned in the honoring of life if there is a recognition of the purification of your own bloodline. The earth can transmute in the correct points of juncture and grid lines to assist that more life is maintained, that we can ease the trauma and the suffering that will occur to the human race and to those that do not have the capacity and the ability to see that death is merely just recreation of life, to support the human beings that are riddled with pain and suffering in the transition, whether they transition from their human physical life form into a new form or in consciousness, that this will allow for the transition to be of more ease and grace, as the initial phases of this have already taken place, and you can witness this by looking through your World Wide Web at the different exposures of what is unfolding. There is only more of this transition through the landmass to realign the chakra systems, and we are building up to the rotation point, being that of the redirection of the chakras as they are in a location that is no longer resonant, as we solidify the frequencies that have landed through the eclipse. Is there anything else? Okay. I feel to ask if there's any questions. That was all the council had to say, but I feel to ask if there's any specific questions in clarity around that message to please place in the comments below, and to receive answer of clarity in whilst I'm still fully in the connection to the council. So to make sense of that whilst you're feeling into it, basically, if sometimes these direct channels can be very profound, that as you're clearing your ancestral lines and you're recognizing your bloodline, you're assisting the earth in the shift that's about to take place. And all of the weather updates that I have shared, you can find, if you haven't seen them, you can find them on YouTube, and you can see the direct channels around the reasoning for this and the manipulation of this. So as we expose and clear the bloodlines of the infiltration and the false power, those power aspects, being that of, I've had different sisters see, and I've seen the mutation of the platelets. So the platelets can be moved by false power, by using and drawing on so much power light source to move the platelets to their agenda. So we're not in solid ground of what will take place. We're still purifying and ensuring that the most beautiful transition in the awareness that it is not what your human mind will see as beautiful. There is going to be a lot of death. There is going to be a lot of destruction. But how can we move through this with the most love and compassion and kindness and through the eyes of God as possible? And to also allow for as much land mass to stay in respect for life forms, and with as least destruction as possible to the human race and to the structures of the human race, whilst also recognizing that there does need to be a drastic shift in consciousness, and that depends on each individual being to what they're choosing. But this bloodline basically means that those platelets are less able to be mutated. If we clear our bloodline, if we know who we are, if we look at our ancestral lineage of our organic body, right? Our body is what holds the ancestral memory, what holds our mother's imprints, our father's imprints. If we're focusing on the body, we're focusing on the earth. They are not separate, they are the same. And the body and the vessel, the avatar, is desiring to purify, to assist this transition process, because the cells of your physicality are transmuting so quickly that you're having mass physical shifts, a lot of symptoms, a lot of ascension symptoms, and transition, and that may be bloating, that may be extreme amounts of fatigue. You might be sleeping. I spent 2 days in bed as a recalibration for me to hold a higher frequency and solidification to support my vessel and the earth. And so what I do, I know, is simultaneously happening for the earth. And so we only ever need to focus on self until you have purified, and you can then be of full service. But self, and you're focusing on self, you'll find that you're in service, because we are not separate. And that is what that is. It's like, okay, let's purify our bloodlines. Let's find out our origins. Let's clear the trauma so that we can allow the earth in this shifting of poles to move with more ease. It doesn't have to hit the dense matter of trauma, right? So as the chakra is making its rotation, I think they said, as the Earth's chakra is making its rotation, it's actually finding a new locationary point in the geography of the Earth. It has to move through the ley lines and the grids to get there. And so when it gets there, if it's moving through ley lines and grids that have cleansed, cleared, and purified and are without big, dense matter of trauma, then it moves with more ease and grace, and it can get to its new location. if it's moving through and hitting big pockets of density and of ancestral trauma and of this decay in the earth that is not allowing for these grid lines to move with grace, then that's when you're going to have some catastrophic events. That's when you're going to see a lot of destruction in the earth, because you can't move through. It hits. It's the same way as when you, if you've been following me for a few years, you would have seen when my kundalini and my vibration, I was like, because the energy is hitting trauma. That's what these like tremors are. That's what these convulsions are, because truly, when you're sitting in your place of kundalini and presence, it flows through you easily and gracefully. And that's because of how much purification I've done. I'm in kundalini all day, every day. It never turns off. It is just me. But the trauma that will get hit against will affect. So if you can purify your pathways and allow and ask for your blood to, specifically your blood, to be purified, and work with your veins, work with your heart and how your heart's constructed. That's, I was like, hang on, what side is my heart? That's how unified I am. I was like, my heart's here. Sorry, Delilah. So the heart's chambers, starting to talk to your heart's chambers, starting to talk to what is sitting within the fluids of your physical vessel, and asking them, or just pouring golden white light into the energy of your liquids, your saliva, your bodily fluids, whatever it is that's required for you to alchemize that, and to assist the alchemy of these grid lines, ley lines, for the chakras to move with more ease and grace. Do I want to sing? Nope. Okay. I'm going to get a coffee and some breakfast. I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you. So many. I hope you got a lot of value out of this transmission and preparation for the shifting of the earth chakras and the rotation. Please remember to support my mission and your own mission, right? Because we're actually in mission together. By sharing, commenting. I am truly grateful to be witnessed, seen, and now exposed to the world as who I truly am. So let's see what happens with that. Who would have thought such a goofy human being would be so important? It's kind of like a cosmic joke though, right? And that's what's super hilarious about it, is like, it's actually funny. If you feel the desire to support my mission, I will put a donation link in where you can support me monetarily, but that is only if it is true in the spark spirit of your soul. I am also working with individuals one-on-one now as assistance to these things, to the earth grids of where you live, so that you can grid, and we can grid up your land mass, so that if you are in a place of transition where the chakra points are going to move through, that you have support in that. I am a little behind in some of my messages, so if I haven't responded, it's not because I don't desire to, it's because I have a lot of people that require huge capacities of holding, and at the moment it's just me, but there are others rising, and I cannot wait to be able to assist more people by passing on the love in this way. But we're all being initiated. So I love you, Ahava. Have a beautiful day.